Trump is a crook.
When we fight, we win.
Of course you're going to have inflation.
Trump is a psychopath.
Shut the up.
So your husband's voting for Trump, you're voting for Kamala. So who controls the television in the house?
We both have different TVs.
Keep the faith.
I think she'd try more than Trump would.
And on November 5th, we'll find out.
One's playing Fox News, one's playing CNN.
MSNBC.
Haitian immigrants are eating cats.
They turn out to be the party of lies.
I don't know, man. I'm not a big killing babies kind of guy.
In Washington, the District of Columbia is the only non-state to be enfranchised in the presidential election, and no Republican has ever won in the district. But DC is a source of tourism for people all over the world, so we went to the center of politics in the US to ask people a simple question.
King Trump or Queen Harris?
As of right now, we gotta go King Trump.
Hey there, thanks for watching. We've got a goal to hit 1,000 subscribers before the election, so join us. Hit that subscribe button.
Pro-life, that's a big issue for you?
It is, yeah. I respect women's decisions, but at the same time, I don't know. It's there's limitations to it, and I don't know. I think that we've been accepting it too much.
Some pro-lifers actually get mad at Trump that he isn't pro-life enough. What do you think?
I would say I'd look at the other side and I'd be like, Kamala is a little bit too pro-choice for me, so.
Any other issues, reasons why you want to vote for Trump?
Not that I can think of.
Come election night, who's going to win, Trump or Kamala?
I don't know, whatever the good Lord wants, man.
Who's France going for, Trump or Kamala?
I hope Kamala.
Why? Why her?
Because she will be the first woman president in USA.
If Trump wins, it's going to be about revenge, and if Kamala wins, it's going to be about doing what she's told to do. Right now, I'm not leaning toward either one of them.
They're that bad.
That is just that bad, my friend. Trump is going to spend the majority of his presidency on the golf course, playing golf and getting revenge. How is that going to help the American people?
What do you say to people who say he could have got revenge the first time he was in there and he didn't really do that?
He don't know the game. See, business will never mix with politics. I don't care how you try to twist it, bend it, or do it, it ain't gonna mix. He's trying to make it mix, but it won't. And he don't know how to play the game. That's how they beat him. See, the problem with Trump is he needs to shut up. He's telling everybody what he gonna do, and they down the road waiting on his to sabotage him, because he run his mouth too much.
And remember this guy because we'll be coming back to him later in the video.
Trump or Kamala?
Kamala, 100% Kamala.
Why Kamala?
Because she's for the people, not for herself, and she'll do more for our country than anybody else.
Do you feel like Trump is more for himself?
Trump is a crook, plain and simple. Trump and his family have stolen from our taxpayers, have stolen from our White House government. He has caused so much division and hate in our country that we just need Trump to be out of politics. He can go back to his own corrupt environment, as far as I'm concerned.
Trump actually said that if he loses this time, he's not going to run again. What do you think about that?
I think that's awesome. I think he shouldn't be running in the first place. I don't even think he should be allowed to be running with felonies.
What do you think about all the investigations that have been done on him?
I think that somewhere someone's paying a lot of money to keep it from going public.
What's your favorite policy by Kamala?
Her policy on helping with children, her policy on helping with homes, her policy with schools, education.
Trump or Kamala?
Harris, Walz, of course.
Harris Walz, of course. Why you say that?
Because I'm for freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. And I think she'll bring it.
What do you say to people who say that, them trying to take Trump off the ballot was undemocratic, them putting Harris into the position when she didn't win a primary, that's undemocratic, them trying to put Trump in jail, their political opponent is undemocratic.
If you
what
do
you
the crime, do the time.
What's your favorite Kamala policy?
Joy.
Joy? The vibes?
The vibes. Women's choice. That's about it.
What would you say to someone who's voting for Trump? What would you say to them to convince them to vote for Kamala?
It's their choice. It's their right to vote for who they want. And I want Kamala Walz. Vote for democracy.
Why is Trump a threat to democracy?
Because he wants to be a dictator.
How so?
That's what he says.
I think he was joking, though.
I don't think so.
Yeah?
I do not think so.
So if Trump gets in, we'll be under a dictatorship?
I think so. We're going back.
Were we under one the first time he was in?
We were on our way to.
You think you're financially better off now versus when Trump was in?
Oh, yes. I do.
How so?
Because I'm here, because my Social Security is still in place, my U.S. Postal Service retirement benefits are still good.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Trump actually wants to end taxes on Social Security, which sounds like it would benefit you. What do you think of that policy?
I haven't really studied it, but I worked hard for the Social Security, and I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. At this point, I need to study that. to make an informed decision.
Basically, you just wouldn't pay taxes on the money you get from the government. Do you think you deserve that? And everyone on Social Security deserves that?
I haven't really studied it to make an informed decision, so I'm going to say right now I don't know.
Hey, what do you think of Walz?
Oh, I love him. I didn't know him at first because I really didn't pay any attention to him, but when he was chosen and I heard him speak, I thought she made the right choice.
What do you think of JD?
Well, he's an American, he's a citizen, and he's a veteran. Some of his ideas are not to my liking, I don't agree with, but that's his choice.
Come election night, who wins, Trump or Kamala?
Kamala Walz, of course. When we fight, we win. Keep the faith, and on November 5th, we'll find out.
Hey, if Trump wins, what's 4 more years under Trump gonna look like?
I'm going to pray real hard that I make it through it.
Kamala
Why Kamala?
possesses the values I appreciate.
Which values are those?
Increased health care, increased access, better treatment for addiction services.
What do you say to people who say she's flip-flopped on a lot of issues, you know? First she was against a wall, now she's for a wall. She was against fracking, now she's for fracking.
I think each of us has done that in our lives. None of us are perfect.
A lot of people feel like because she's done that, though, so close to the election, that she's untrustworthy. Do you trust her?
Yes.
Border wall. Why does Kamala scare the heck out of you?
She won't get down to specifics, for one. She speaks in generalities. Also, I'm against the Democrat Party because since I was a Democrat, they turned out to be the party of lies.
What do you say to people who have a problem with Trump's rhetoric around immigrants and like his language talking about them?
I don't care about some of the things he says, but that's his brand. He's an agitator. That's how he gets things done. I'd like him to be a little more mature in his name calling and such like that. But as far as getting stuff done, he's proven time and time again that he can do that.
So words matter less, actions matter more to you.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest actions Trump has done that you like?
Well, the border, I guess, has to be on top of that list. More secure than it's been this half century since I've been alive.
We're here at the Capitol. Obviously, January 6th happened here. A lot of people consider that the biggest stain on his presidency. What do you think about January 6th and everything that happened here? And what do you say to people who won't vote for Trump because of January 6th?
He did say to do it peacefully. He said, don't get crazy. Democrat media is only willing to say, show the parts where he says we got to be aggressive and things like that, and they twist it around.
Do you feel like, you know, your friends and family are all going to vote for Trump? Like, what are you seeing on the ground in North Carolina?
Family is all going to vote Trump. Some of them just don't want to get that political as to answer why, you know, but...
What's your message to Kamala Harris?
You're a really likable lady. You win hearts, you won mine in some ways, but you're not rock solid.
Why Harris?
I don't want chaos. I want respect. I don't want people thinking this country's theirs. I just want what they call democracy.
So all the wars going on, that doesn't give you any hesitation about Kamala?
Well, I'm not really up on that. You know, everybody's in their lanes. I'll leave that up to the world community and ambassadors and other folks. That's my joy. I'm worn out I'm exhausted. As you hear in the news media all the time, I'm like exhausted. I need a change.
You talk about you're a retired banker. A lot of people would say we're in an affordability crisis right now, and that people were better kind of economically under Trump.
Part of inflation is, you know, part of this inflation was by the ton of PPP money that was given to like the top 1% and 2%. And a lot of banks in the country, these businesses took the PPP loans because it was given. The Hartford Courant has a report 60 to 70% of all the PP loan money is still sitting in accounts. Yeah, money flows to the top. It always did. Basically, we said is the government during COVID, they put in 35% of what is GDP into the economy. When you put that kind of money in the economy, of course you're going to have inflation. I don't think he should be running the country that I live in. Popular vote, Harris going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, what do you think about all of his comments? Like, his Twitter needs to be taken away from him and all that stuff.
Man, you got a right to say whatever you want to say, but at some time, common sense need to kick in to say, you know, maybe I'm hurting myself by talking too much. So, and that's why they're not taking it down, because he's telling them everything he gonna do. So if you take it down, now you're in the dark. But as long as you let him talk.
How do we stop the hate?
Talking to each other and stop talking at each other. Nobody's perfect, my man.
What would you say to Trump?
Shut the up.
What would you say to Kamala?
This is a perfect example of somebody that's getting an opportunity and ain't prepared.
What do you say to people who say that she is prepared?
Everything that she's gotten was given to her. She hadn't earned anything.
What is your message to young voters or people who are thinking about voting but they don't know if they should or not?
Our vote really don't predict the president. The Electoral College does. Look at Hillary Clinton. She won the popular vote, but she lost to the Electoral College.
So you think we should rely on the popular vote?
We absolutely.
What do you say to someone who says, well, that would get rid of like all parties and there would just only be one party? Because, you know, the popular vote most of the time goes to the Democratic people.
Well, that's not necessarily true, man. If they put up the right candidates.
Come election night, who do you think's going to win ultimately, Trump or Kamala?
I don't think there's any way, a snowball's chance in hell, that they're going to let Trump back in the White House.
So you're saying if he wins, they're still not going to let him in there?
I don't think he has a chance to win. Trump's heart is not in this race. His whole thing was Joe Biden. Joe Biden ain't there no more. So that took out his mojo.
What do you think of them possibly making D.C. its own state?
That's
Who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
Why are you voting for Kamala?
Because she's not crazy.
What makes Trump crazy?
He says things like Springfield eats dogs and cats.
Think there's a immigration problem in Springfield, Ohio?
No.
Do you think there's an immigration problem at all, like across the country?
Maybe small problems, but they're probably really complicated and people try to take them way too simple terms.
They say 11 million people, some estimate more, have come in through the border under Biden and Harris's administration. Do you think that should happen, or do you think that we should let immigrants into the country?
I don't feel very qualified to answer that. That seems like a really complicated question that most people probably don't have a good answer for, but they think they do because they hear it on social media.
What's your favorite Kamala policy?
What's our favorite Kamala policy?
We're young adults and we'd really like to buy our first house. Her putting forth the $25,000 incentive for new home buyers would be really, really helpful for us.
Do you guys feel that way, that you were better off under Trump versus now?
No, I feel like we're in about the same place we were.
What do you say to people who think that they're better off under Trump versus now?
I don't know, it's hard. Maybe some people were and some people weren't.
What's your message to Donald Trump?
Just be more chill. Just don't say things that you have no proof of.
Do you find any Trump voters in California or no?
Oh yeah, no, we live in San Luis Obispo, so there's actually like a pretty good mix of both.
What would you say to the average Trump voter to get them to give their vote to Harris?
I think it's really hard because everyone's so divided, so it's really hard to like step over to the other side. I think both are really defensive of their own candidate.
You think Harris will bring the country together?
I think she'll try. I think she'd try more than Trump would. There's always going to be a little hope. Always have to hope. Let's stop being so divided.
On election night, who wins, Trump or Kamala?
Harris.
I'm saying Kamala by a hair.
Why Kamala?
Because I want someone who understands the important issues to women. Well, I think that is where she's struggling, right? With being really, at this point, strong about her policy work. Overall, for me, it would be the women issue and making sure we continue to have our choice to choose what we do with our bodies.
On election night, do you think we're going to go red or blue here in America?
I am scared.
What would you say to somebody who's on the fence?
As a president, we need someone that our young people can look up to as a role model. Instead of voting the party line, really look and see who you want your kids to look up to.
Why Kamala?
Seen what Trump can do, so I'm willing to give somebody new a chance.
What specific policies do you like of hers?
That she seems to be maybe trying to bring the people together a little more.
And you think we need that for America to come together?
I think we haven't had that in quite some time in the U.S., sadly.
How do you think we can come together?
I don't know. That's why I'm not in politics.
Come election night, who do you think America's going to vote for, Trump or Kamala?
I think unless something drastically changes, it's going to be Kamala.
Kamala, why?
I believe that women should have the same rights that I had 50 years ago.
What do you say to people who feel like she's flip-flopped on a lot of policies? You know, she was against fracking, now she's for fracking. She was against a border wall, now she's for a border wall.
I believe that everybody deserves a chance in this life to change their opinions as they grow, and hopefully they will come to the right decisions at the time.
A lot of people feel like she's untrustworthy because she's changed her position so many times. Do you feel like she's trustworthy?
Yes, I do.
What's your favorite Kamala policy?
Oh, Roe v. Wade. Child care.
Well, what do you say to people who feel like they were just economically better under Trump, with grocery prices being lower and gas prices being lower and interest rates being lower and all of those things?
I believe that they won't go back to exactly what they were, but I do believe that we can buckle up and survive them.
What would you say to someone who's on the fence about voting for Trump or Kamala? What would you say to get them to vote for Kamala?
I'd like to see somebody in there that I feel really has their head on their shoulders.
Having a wall, having some border
I
security.
believe the Democratic Party will step up and realize that that is an issue that they cannot ignore.
So your husband's voting for Trump, you're voting for Kamala, so you're a purple household. How do you
I
guys
assume
live
he's
together?
avoiding for him.
You don't talk about it?
No, we don't.
So who controls the television in the house based on what news sources you watch?
We both have different TVs.
Wow, one's playing Fox News, one's playing CNN?
MSNBC.
Why are you voting for Kamala?
Because I like her, and she's likable.
What makes Trump unlikable?
Everything about him.
Like what?
I don't like how aggressive he is. I don't like that he yells a lot. And I don't like his concept of a plan.
I feel like Kamala has plans.
I think she can get more plans. I have more faith that she has plans that can be more established than person who's already a president who no longer has a plan anymore.
Some of his plans are end the wars, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, deporting everyone with the immigration and solving the immigration crisis. Do you support any of those policies?
I support the no tax on tips and Social Security. I'm not for the mass deportations.
Come election night, who wins, Trump or Kamala?
I hope Kamala, but I definitely think it's going to be close.
Trump or Kamala?
Harris.
Why Harris?
The right choice.
Why is Trump the wrong choice?
He's proven that he is not to be trusted.
How so?
Enjoys attention but doesn't care to lead.
What do you think of Dick Cheney endorsing Kamala?
Not surprising.
How do you feel about all these wars happening under the watch of Biden and Harris?
Which ones are you talking about?
Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia, also Houthis in the Red Sea wreaking havoc.
That's political strife.
People say under Trump, he was the first president 4 years that got us into no new wars, and we had a lot of peace in the Middle East under him. What would you say to that?
I would say it's coincidence.
You going to go out and vote anyway?
Absolutely, yeah.
Why are you guys voting for Kamala?
She's not a crazy racist person who
is
only out for herself and...
Trump is a psychopath, narcissistic psychopath. But Kamala is, she's smart. She's got a lot of experience working in the government. Leadership, she is reasonable. She honestly cares about people. She cares about families, and so does Walz. Same thing, that you can tell. He's like an honest, when I first saw him, he's just like, my dad, oh my God, he's like a dad, right? I think it's an amazing group. That's who I'm voting for.
What are your favorite policies of Kamala?
For her to reinstate Roe v. Wade, that's the big one. Common sense gun laws.
What do you say to people who are more on the fence? They're undecided. They're trying to decipher Trump or Kamala. What would you say to them?
You need to stay off of Fox News and other very decisive news sources. You need to not listen to Facebook or other social media platforms, because we all know that it's not necessarily the truth.
Algorithms can boost up stuff that doesn't make it, especially Elon Musk. He makes everything he wants shoot right to the top. Check multiple news sources. That's really good.
Yeah, NPR.
So, but if you go to NPR, you go to AP, you go to Reuters, even The Guardian out of the UK, looking back in, and just look at what Trump has been saying.
So you think that America should turn more towards socialism?
Oh yeah, socialized medicine, socialized education.
What is your favorite policy of hers?
I wouldn't be able to answer that. I haven't followed her enough to know. Part of me is voting against Trump. One of the reasons that I was against him was I voted for him for the first time when he got out of the Earth to Paris Agreement with the ecology, because ecology is like the number one kicker for me. That and the war effort. I don't like the way he handled the border patrols with the children in cages and the loss of the children, misplaced children, stuff like that.
I think because we're still getting to hear what her policy is, what she's going to do. The really cool one that I liked that she announced at the debate was her $25,000 for the small business owner, because small business is what brings a community together. I come from a community where there's a lot of small businesses. We had a lot go under during COVID, did. We had a lot that got through because of the PPP loans and stuff like that. But I still think that small business environment still needs the boost to get over the slump so that everything starts to go back in line.
Do you think Kamala is going to be the one that gets us there?
I think she can get to both sides of the aisle. I think she's going to work well with Congress.
How do we come together as a country?
We're going to need to show movement in a direction that shows unity and that we're all looking out for each other.
You were talking about like housing and stuff like that. A lot of people feel like the housing rates and stuff like that have gone up under them.
The economy is not this House, and it's not Congress. I mean, we had worldwide, there's been an economic hit. In order to compensate for that, you have businesses doing what businesses are doing to make up for it. Look at how much the price of wood went up during the middle of COVID. If you needed housework done, you couldn't afford it.
So you don't think that inflation and all that stuff was like Biden and Kamala's fault?
I do not. I think it didn't matter who was here because I think because of COVID and what it did throughout the world and what happened. I want to say the law of supply and demand.
What do you say to people who are more on the fence? They don't know if they want to vote for Kamala or not. They don't really like Trump's rhetoric. They like his policies. What do you say to somebody like that?
Well, I think when you look at that, the bottom line is you have to look at policies from not only what their policy is, but whether they can get those policies through Congress to get what has to happen. Are they going to be able to cross the line to get agreements, to make things happen? Or are they going to alienate people? There isn't anything I want to hear from him. There isn't anything I want to know. I know his history. And it has nothing to do with his last 4 years. It had to do with him from 1970 till before his 4 years. I didn't vote for him then. I'm not voting for him now.
What do you say to Kamala supporters and Kamala?
Keep the lines of communication open, keeping open to other ideas and moving forward and how can we fix what we have.
Come election night, who wins, Trump or Kamala?
Kamala Walz, of course.
Kamala, I don't have my Converse on.
No matter who we vote for, man, we all screwed.
Whoever shows up.
I think unless something drastically changes, it's going to be Kamala.
Trump or Kamala?
Kamala, 100% Kamala.
Kamala.
Popular vote, Harris gonna knock it out of the park.
As of right now, we gotta go King Trump.
I really hope it's going blue.
I'm saying Kamala by a hair.
On election night, who's going to win, Trump or Kamala?
Trump. Sincerely, the voter's voice.